new things to come, old things must go. That's it. There is no magic to that. It's just that it was part of our daily routine, part of our daily life, belonging to exactly that. The Shaolin way of living.
We've always said that the writing down of something for us helps us manifest it even more. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
What you create in the mind, it's all about manifesting. Some people write their ideas down because from what is written down, something else is going to come out from it. People might think, yeah, but that's, come on, it's so little. No, it's the little things. If you can't handle the little things, you will not be able to handle the big things. There are only two mistakes along this way. You are not starting this one, or you are not bringing this one to the end.
Welcome back to the channel. Today's episode, as always, was powered by Huel. I'm drinking Huel Black Edition, and I have been for the last few months now. This has 35 grams of protein, 26 vitamins and minerals, and some slow release carbs in there. That means I can train for my world record. I can run around all day on a film set, and I can reach into my bag at any moment and grab something like this to make sure that I'm getting a really nutritionally complete meal. I love the Huel Black Edition, but it's not the only product that Huel have. I'll speak a little bit later about them in the video. Before we get started, thank you so much for coming back onto the channel. Again, a lot of people probably know who you are by now, but for those who don't, just introduce yourself and what you do.
So my name is Shi Heng Yi. I am the leading headmaster of the Shaolin Temple Europe. We are a Buddhist monastery, which is existing since 2011, being located here in Germany. But our organization already started way before in 1996. And what we are essentially doing is trying to translate the ancient teachings that are coming from the Shaolin Temple. That means it involves Kung Fu practices, Qigong practices, Tai Chi Chuan practices, but also the theoretical knowledge consisting of Buddhism, Taoism, and Confucianism. We are trying to translate this into a language that people nowadays can really grasp some practical experience from it so that they can integrate it in a way into their daily life. Especially knowing that the least people of this world will ever be staying like inside of a monastery for a too long time. But nevertheless, all of these teachings, they partly derive from or partly were developed within the walls of a monastery. So at the moment, I think there is a shift going on where a lot of this knowledge is being shared outwards, out from these walls, because we just think that it's necessary. It has become necessary, especially considering that there is so much visible effects of imbalance out there. This can simply be seen by all the mental sicknesses that meanwhile are existing out there. And we just think that there is something we can contribute to at least try as good as we can to bring some balance back into this world.
We're closing out at the moment. We're getting close to the end of 2022. A lot of people have been asking, about new starts, new beginnings, how to plan for the new year, how to prepare for the new year. And I thought, who better to ask than yourself?
Thank you very much. Yes, so regardless of being located in the monastery, also in the past, I met a lot of people, including myself, that always, when there was the switch to the next year, many people always have their new plans and new ideas, what's going to change in the next year and what you're going to start to let go of and what maybe is going to be something new that you are starting to integrate into the next life. At the same time, sometimes it's also good to realize whether you are already sometimes caught within some type of a habit. And to take a step back, especially at these times when anyway things are slowly getting more quiet. I would suggest that everyone takes a personal small retreat. That means retreating back to yourself and really ask yourself that question. What is it essentially that you are looking for living this life? Regardless of how old you are right now, how much of where you want to go did you achieve already? And also, are you actually still finding yourself on the way to wherever you wanted to go? So first of all, before we even know which future direction you would like to go towards, number one is we need to know where are we actually standing right now. So to know where we're standing is, observe your surroundings. They can give you an indication where you are right now. Look around you. One indication. Second of all, look inside of you. How do you feel about the way of life that you are at the moment living? You had almost 365 days from that current year right now. How do you feel about it? Where did it brought you? Where did you decline? Where were you able to increase something about you? So number one is find out what is the status quo. Where are you located at the moment? And it is similar, like sometimes in a few Buddhist stories we are saying, before you know in which direction to sail, first of all, you need to know where you're located. Because the journey is not for everyone the same. In the way of what we are trying to share, we are trying to share methods, certain principles. But ultimately what needs to be done is that an individual person is starting to take all of these methods and applies them very specifically to your own personal way of, let's say, understanding. Because sometimes people ask, so I want to go to, let's just say, I want to go to New York. But one person is asking that question while he's located in the UK. And another person is asking me that question because he's located in Japan. That means the answer is not going to be the same. The goal is the same, but the answer that I would need to be given would be a different one. And therefore, it is very, very similar to now people asking, so this, and that is what I want. What should I do? I don't know. I can only give like the tools. I can only try to give some ideas and some ways of how you can use the mind to more intelligently approach that idea of fulfilling the goal. But the ultimate plan, which direction to travel, is something everyone personally must do. But therefore, in order for you to know, to now start and making up the plan where the journey is going to go, number one, we figure out what is our current state. So this is number one. And now, afterwards, I would like to give an introduction to something that in the Shaolin community, in the Buddhist community, it's already widespread and well known that there is a so-called guideline or a so-called Noble Eightfold Path, it is called. It is called Noble Eightfold Path because it is describing a journey to fulfill the fourth noble truth. I think we talked about it in the previous video where we went over the four noble truths, but this time we are at the Noble Eightfold Path. Now, to take something or to say something prior to this path, some people might see that there is a chronology behind the way of which of these steps to pay attention on first. But ultimately, they all go hand in hand. So what it means is the next 8 steps. This is not about that you need to do one after another. Actually, all of these, sooner or later, are taking place at the same time. Now, what is the emphasis of following a type of guideline? Where is this path guiding you towards? And I would say at the end, it is once again, it is those 3 areas that ultimately have an effect on the quality of how we are perceiving this life. It is your mental state, it is your physical state, and it is the way how you are embedded within this society. And especially that part about the society means that sometimes everyone just needs to think about what are virtues that you think are beneficial within a society to live together. Even if these rules are not written anywhere. Those are rules that go in, like, let's say, a mutual understanding. And to derive this type of view towards the other, this is what in the Buddhist terms we call it is the ethical conduct. The way how you are walking out into this world with what type of own set rules are you walking through this lifetime? The simplest one and the most important one set already is you can self-express yourself in the way how you like, but you do not do so when you are harming others along the way. So that means the harm for others is something which belongs to the ethical conduct. It is something you are putting to yourself. So regardless of what you are doing, regardless of where this path is taking you, one codex is you're not going to harm anyone along this way. And that Noble Eightfold Path is actually combining all of these 3 areas. Your mental state, your physical states, and the way of how you are interacting with this society. Let's start with the first path, which is called the right understanding. To give you an overview what's going to come right now, maybe it's easier if I just mention all 8 first of all. Number 1, the right understanding. Number 2, the right thought, right thinking. Number 3, right speech. Number 4, right action or right behavior. Number 5, right livelihood, the right way of earning your living. Number 6, the right effort. Number 7, the right concentration. And number 8, the right meditation. So, what does it mean, right understanding? And why is it, for example, mentioned now as the first state? I do think that if you are looking at the world already with predetermined concepts, looking at the world already with some type of expectation, then it's going to be very difficult to really see how the things are. So right understanding involves all these type of learning to see how the things are. Similar to that story, day and night, both at the same time. Same as the view, nothing in a way is permanent. The same way how you are realizing that many emotional states, many thoughts that are coming, they come and they go. None of them lasts. So that means there is a fluctuation of things. Right understanding means you're starting to look out in the world, observe just more around you to figure out maybe if there is a type of structure that you can see, things that are repeating. Because based on that, based on how much have you understood of how certain things in this world are functioning, based on that arises the right thought. How do you know if something is the right thought or even the next one being the right speech? Right thought or right speech, simply you can also just turn it around, being the absence of wrong thought or ill thought, or the absence of ill talk or bad talking. So just staying, for example, with number 1, number 2, and number 3. What does it mean? Right understanding, right thought, right speech. It is the way for you to prevent anything arising inside of you that has the seed of ill thought, of bad thought. You do not want to look at another person, to look at another creature, to look at another being and create something that you would regard as being an ill thought, let's say. The same goes for the right speech or the absence of right speech, meaning gossiping. Now, in that point of the right speech, it doesn't only mean to take care of what you are talking. It's also important to understand that sometimes, even if you would like to say the truth, even if your words are true, but it's not always the right point in time to speak the truth to someone. That can mean if somebody at this moment in time is very much emotionally charged, something just happened in a few minutes ago. Sometimes it's not good to even use true words in such circumstances. So right speech doesn't only mean using words that don't hurt anyone. It also means using words at the right time with the right understanding. The right understanding that there are times where it's useful and there are other times where it's pretty much out of place. This is also belonging to a type of understanding that we would like to cultivate in ourselves under that category of right speech. So to bring it back into perspective, what is it that I would suggest for next year? What are you supposed to do right now? Give yourself a lecture. Give yourself a guideline that you are now trying to put it into practice. This guideline is that noble eightfold path. So that means every day, think about what does right understanding mean to me. One way to do it is just do some research. What does right understanding mean? Based on that research, go back to yourself, look out in the world and try to understand what does right understanding mean. And then the next step, and what does the right understanding right now has to do with myself of which thoughts, what thoughts, and how are thoughts being created inside myself? So how does the way of how much you understand about this world affects the way of what type of thoughts are you cultivating? After you are starting to investigate of where your thoughts are coming from, you this time pay attention during that week everywhere where you're going. Take care about what is leaving your mouth. In which tone are you talking to people? What type of vocabulary are you using speaking with people? How is the intonation while you are talking to people? That means become aware of what is it that you are transmitting in the moment you are opening the mouth. Not necessarily what is it that you would want to transmit. First of all, also observe yourself. How does what is leaving your mouth is being communicated and is being understood by other people? Because it's not important what you mean by your words. It's important how does the other one understand it, what you just said. And that means a lot of misunderstanding can also be, let's say, reduced in the moment where you just become more aware of the impact of your words. And right speech integrates parts of what I just said right now. So being aware of what is it that you are saying. And all of them merge together with that ethical conduct that you do not want to harm others, neither with your thoughts nor with your speech. So then afterwards, the following points, for example, the right behavior. It almost goes without saying that first we are thinking something, then we are talking about it, then we are doing the things. So same goes here. Now pay attention to the actions that you are putting within the next year into the daily being. Because it's another 365 years where a type of conditioning is taking place. And this conditioning is consisting of the actions that you are doing, the habits that you are having, the behavior that you are putting towards others. Which then means the right livelihood. Right livelihood meaning, how are you earning actually your possibilities of living this life? I think in that time where that noble eightfold path was developed, it also meant, for example, that if you have the ethical conduct to not harm too many beings, the right livelihood would quite a lot be in conflict of being a butcher. The right livelihood meaning, by the way of how you are making your living, are you causing harm along this way? Are you causing harm along this profession, let's say? And now you must understand that this type of guideline, this type of noble eightfold path is like centuries old. So what does it mean? It means that a lot of experience went into these type of statements. That means even if you are taking care of your right understanding, taking care of the right speech, taking care of the right thought, taking care of your right actions, but still you are embedded in a surrounding that by profession is causing harm, it's still at the end somehow difficult to really fully commit to that path. And this is now my interpretation why I think right livelihood does play an important role within the normal daily life. Because you can be and say that you're a really, really, let's say, person that doesn't want to cause harm. But then you must make it from beginning until end without any excuses in between, which also involves, therefore, the right livelihood. Yes. So number 6 is the right effort, meaning you know the path, you know what needs to be done. And sometimes doing the right things is a difficult thing to do. Because it's not always what naturally arises. It is something that you need to condition yourself in. It is something you need to train yourself in doing so. And therefore, I think right effort meaning to continuously pay attention and have patience in fulfilling and trying to put this type of guidelines into your daily life. Now, right concentration, meaning to be aware of where you are focusing your energy. That is already like beneficial if you just try to put as much as you understand from these paths into your daily life. But nevertheless, if somebody really wants to know what does it mean, you need to do the research. Yeah, you cannot really just rely on, let's say, my interpretation, because that's exactly what it is. It is my understanding of how these wordings do have a meaning in my life, how I put them into practice. Yes, but I'm very sure that there is way more to each of these sentences. But that is dependent on where is somebody standing right now. Somebody who's just starting this path, he has one type of understanding. somebody who already knows these type of guidelines, who already knows them for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, some decades, who already practiced them for some decades, he has another understanding with them. Yes, it's just that this path is like showing you off if there is something to adjust within your life, which are the areas to adjust. And that means adjust first of all. Do you have the proper understanding in what you as a human being at the moment are embedded in? Meaning, if you think this world is about you, think again. Maybe you misunderstood something. That's why the right understanding is something very, very fundamental for everything else to follow. Yes? Then afterwards, after let's say you understand, okay, let's just assume I understand or I can see apparently that there is a connection between us humans, between the people that you are dealing with. Let's just assume there is a connection. If there's a connection, merge together with the ethical conduct that you do not want to harm, which would normally automatically arise in the moment where you feel the connection. Then it means in the way of how I am thinking, in the way how I am talking, I do not want you to get any harm from that. So that means what type of thoughts are you cultivating towards your colleagues at work? You regard them as being colleagues, that you are all working on the same mission, let's say. You're all pulling on the same rope, or you're regarding yourself being surrounded between your colleagues and this is about competing. These are moments where a thought can arise. Afterwards, same with the speech, same with the actions. Coming once again to the way how you are earning your daily life. And now the other 3 areas that we think need some improvement is the way, first of all, are you meditating? Do you have inside your daily life a meditative practice? In meditative practice, you find plenty of ways and plenty of explanations how to either get started with it or even to just get a glimpse of why would it be necessary to integrate this meditation inside of you. And meditation is the practical way. It's the practical way to start and see more. Why to meditate? To bring clarity to your life. What to do when I have clarity in my life? I start to see things better and therefore start once again to understand things better. So there you right now, for example, can see that meditative practice is very closely related also to the amount of how and what you are understanding. This is why it's not the chronology of steps that somebody is going through. All of this at the same time, as much commitment as you would like, as much effort as you would like to put into this type of practices. But since, let's say, people were asking, so I don't know what to do. What should I do? That is the traditional Buddhist guideline of starting the path. And afterwards only come one sentence that maybe people have read before. There are only 2 mistakes along this way. You are not starting this one, or you are not bringing this one to the end. That's it.
I want to take a moment to thank our sponsors that make this possible. So a massive thank you to Huel. You guys know I've been using Huel for the past few years. These guys are absolutely amazing for me. I'm drinking Huel Black Edition that has 35 grams of protein, 26 vitamins and minerals, and slow release carbs. The reason I choose Black Edition is because I lead a very, very busy life, but also I want to break world records in sports. I want to get stronger and build muscle. So this has a little bit more protein than the standard stuff, but they have an amazing range. If you want to find out more, head to the link in the description. But guys, don't just take my word for it. People like the hardest geezer ran across the whole length of Africa using this stuff. And then there's the busy people who are entrepreneurs and successful people who just use this to save time and get nutritionally complete meals. So if you want to find out more, go to the link in the description. But I just want to say a massive thank you, as always, to Huel. I cannot recommend them enough, and they help make these documentaries possible.
Throughout the year, and especially at the start of the year, myself and my brothers will sit down and we'll start to write goals, and we'll start to write things down in our journals and have certain things to achieve that year, or like just things to make it more present. And we've always said that the writing down of something for us helps us manifest it even more. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Yes. So in what you just said right now, I can absolutely agree, because this is like in those programs when people do not come here, let's say. One part of why we do have, for example, workbooks is because we want them not just to stay in the world of thinking about these things, thinking about the outcome and thinking about what they just felt, because to manifest them and writing them down gives another quality to it, let's say. And so therefore, yes, what you want, what you create in the mind, it's all about manifesting. Things that stay in the mind that do not manifest, it's good for one person itself, but maybe it doesn't benefit many more people because they don't see it. People can only see it if it is manifested. And the first way of bringing something from here out into this world is by writing it down, or even speaking it on something that records it. What are your thoughts? Also meaning you can also manifest in the moment where you speak about your ideas to another person. Even that one is something that is starting to turn the wheel. So this is how I see, which is like part of the process in terms of when you want to make something become real. Why do you exchange ideas? Because sooner or later you want maybe some of these ideas to become real, that the idea starts to shape into a form. And how is it done? Some people write their ideas down, because from what is written down, something else is going to come out from it. Other people prefer to exchange these ideas with other people once again. But no matter how you do it, it must be something that it starts to take a shape. Yes. Whether it is, like I said, in terms of writing it down, speaking it on a recorder, or drawing it somewhere. But I do suggest that also now, in regards of starting the new year, it does help to write down on your refrigerator just a few bullet points. People might think, yeah, but that's, come on, it's so little. No, it's the little things. If you can't handle the little things, you will not be able to handle the big things. That's just how it is. So that means the small things matter. Even if last year nothing was written on your refrigerator, but this year you make up your mind, you make up your plan, and you put it there, visible every day. It matters.
I heard you use this word a few times, and when we speak about manifestation, this one really sits with me quite well, and it's the idea of seeds and planting these seeds with manifesting something, for me, a thought is almost a seed, but to get it to the point where it is in this world, it is a physical thing. How do people go about that?
Every day I have a lot of thoughts also. I have a lot of ideas. Partly, these are things now that sometimes come from me. At the same time, I also have, let's say, requests or ideas that are coming, let's say, from the outside being offered to me. So what I have sometimes at the end of the day is I can see in the mind those ideas. Now, what I do first of all is I keep them within myself and do what I contemplate, I think about them. But think about them deeply. Meaning, I take this idea, I look at where would that idea lead if I would now start with that current situation to invest energy in. And so what derives out from that is I'm starting to see pictures, I start to see a vision involving that idea in the future. And this I just do with everything that comes to my mind. And then see it in a bigger perspective of, is that now what I think the monastery, this community, or myself would in any way benefit from in order to make our mission more close to achieve, which means share more. This is how at the moment I'm planning I'm starting my projects. And once I'm clear for myself, this is the one I take. This is the one I take. Then meanwhile, I don't even have doubt that this idea in here will take reality. I don't even have that doubt that it will not take place. Because for me right now, it is that I try with my intentions, just figure out right now, who else, what else do I need? What is it that is in my hands right now to make that plan come true? Which obstacles do I maybe have to remove? And which other people or other things do I maybe need to take in that idea? And then it starts. If I have some people on my mind, the writing starts, the contacting starts. If I see already, okay, there are a few obstacles right now we need to get rid of, then the daily work goes into, okay, remove the obstacles. And yes, and why I am saying that at the moment I am trusting this process so much, that I'm trusting that idea so much that it will become real, is because I'm clear of my intentions. And as arrogant as it sounds, but I do think that this intention is very much in line of what I think this world is needing right now.
Just a point there, removing the obstacles. I guess for the start of someone's year, or if somebody is really, not even the start of someone's year, if someone's embarking on a new journey and they don't know where to start, a lot of people are carrying around a lot of baggage or heavy weights with them on these journeys that they don't need to be. There's a lot of noise, there's a lot of things that are just irrelevant. How important is it? I mean, we spoke about it the other day about emptying the cup. I'm not having all that stuff. Going into the new year, into 2023, how important is it if people want to embark on a new journey to sort of drop those weights that they don't need to be carrying anymore?
If someone is determined to really figure out what does this life has to offer to you, if you want to really engage into life at its fullest, I would say, the more you're able to let go, the quicker you are going to approach along this way. Why? Because the more things, the more weight you are letting go, the more light you become, the more open you become, the more new things are automatically starting to fill all the gaps that now you have made space for. But if you are starting into the next year, into your next period, but you keep on having the same things over and over again that are already inside of you since the last 20 years, nothing too much new gonna come. Because there is something already too hard inside of you. You're stuck already with a conceptual view about how this life is supposed to look. And this is sometimes why we call, you have the physical practice to keep your body healthy and running along this lifetime. But then we have the spiritual practices. The ones that don't have so much to do anymore with the physicality. They have something to do with opening up, allowing your mind to get free of the concepts, get free of the things that have been accumulating inside of ourselves. And that from time to time then start to block ourselves. And this is why we have those physical practices, mental practices, and both of them, the more you're able to let go, the farther you're going to proceed. So therefore, to your question, it is essential. The more your willingness and your ability to let go, the more changes are going to come. It's just like this. For new things to come, old things must go. And now, just as I mentioned, there is the willingness, first of all, to let go. And then there is your skill level, your abilities. Can you, even if you want? And there it is now also good to know. By practicing certain methods, many of them that I told you already, many of them that are also available. By using them, there is a certain degree that you can already help or support yourself in letting go, learning what does it mean to let go. But sometimes there are also things that have, let's say, that are caught within us, that you just cannot reach by yourself. And this is the moment where sometimes you need support. Where sometimes even if the willingness is there and you even maybe can see what it is that is stuck inside of you, but sometimes you need a person, more persons, or sometimes you need an additional support to get rid of it. So this is also important really to understand. Yeah. But this is the reason why nowadays people start to travel and go to all different types of places, meeting shamans, meeting monks, all of this. This is, I really think, where it comes from. Because they feel that they for themselves cannot proceed anymore. They maybe have reached their limit of knowledge and their skill level at the same time to proceed deeper. So, and who are the ones that are able to proceed from there on? Only the ones that went deeper. And this is where it's ending once again, why we have walls around here. Because you have a lot of time for yourself. And if you are putting the right effort to it, the right concentration to it, and the right meditation to it, there is a type of depth that you can then develop, which an average person normally does not have the time for. Everybody can achieve it. If you are investing enough of the effort, enough of the training into it, enough of the time in really watching inside of yourself. And why I mention this is that this is the reason why sometimes if people come here, if they speak to spiritual people sometimes, they can take something out from you that you for yourself cannot do. And maybe no one in your surroundings was able so far to do it. But it is simply because we can see a little bit closer. That's it. There is no magic to that. It's just that it was part of our daily routine, part of our daily life, belonging to exactly that. The Shaolin way of living. Physical deaths and mental deaths.
You used the word skill a few times and ability there. And I think there's a lot of people who have expectations of themselves, especially for the year. And they have goals for the year, but they don't necessarily have the ability or the skills. I mean, is there a mistake in that? Is there a mistake in setting goals that are beyond your skill set? And yeah, just like how would somebody go about achieving something beyond what they are capable of right now?
One thing really to know in this type of state is, why is it that I'm always saying you do not want to make big jumps? You don't want to make huge changes. Why is it better to have like small steps, like with small milestones along the way? Because my observation so far is that if something within this world is changing too quickly, it either comes quick and therefore leaves quick, or it comes quick and then mostly it has a type of destructive character. So let's just take, for example, the earthquakes, the tsunamis, the volcano eruptions. No matter what it is, the bomb explosion. What does bomb explosion mean? There is something which is changing the status quo in a very short time, very dramatically. So huge changes in a short time is not what we want. What does it mean for us? Don't put unrealistic goals into your year where you actually already know, I mean, I could maybe achieve it, but therefore what? Therefore, a lot of other things are going to be destroyed. A lot of other things are going to stop developing. And this is maybe not something that you want. So instead of making huge plans with huge steps, better think about how to structure your 24 hours and put a little bit of what you want to develop there inside that day. Because instead of huge steps, what we are using as a method is continuity. That one is your friend. Repetition is your friend. Not huge jumping. It is the repetition of things that starts to embody something inside of you. And if you have a goal, and if you know what type of skills, which tools you are going to need to make this goal become true, I do think you need to figure out how you're going to get to those skills, first of all, and then make a plan and invest in them. And at least in the Kung Fu training, it is like this, that we say some skills, they come after years of training. You might feel the benefit of a certain skill already pretty soon, but ultimately it's repetition.
When people from the space that we're in embark on a journey like this, they look for belief, whether it's self-belief or a friend of ours coined it as renting someone else's belief. which I really love. But in terms of installing self-belief, there's this image for me about positive affirmations, talking to yourself, looking in the mirror and saying that you are capable of doing these things. You have the skills. Is there any of that in Shaolin teachings to be able to talk to yourself positively and be able to create that within yourself?
Sometimes we also have like Qigong classes. Yeah, Qigong classes, people sometimes nowadays still understood as working with energy. Now, a lot of times when you go nowadays into so-called Qigong classes, you realize very often people are also having a background music playing at the same time. So there is music together with the practice. And if you ask then the people, so what's the point of like using the music? Then it certainly is because it is adding something to you. It is adding something where you know about if this is where you would like to go. You want to become a little bit more peaceful because you had a hard day. So we have peaceful music merged together with peaceful movements and merged together with a peaceful way of breathing, which does help. But as long as you are still dependent on the music, that means you can still not yet create that peace just by yourself. And now to that question, what does it mean? Of course, you can have self-affirmations and use this as a method to push yourself because you want to achieve something. But from time to time, it's really necessary to test yourself. You talk to yourself, you give positive feedback to yourself, you give affirmations to yourself. You can create an image about yourself. And then from time to time, you need to make the test. If what you imagine to be is who you are. That is the important step. Because if you do not do the testing, then it's pretty easy that sometimes you're going to get lost. Lost in the world of your thoughts that sometimes have nothing anymore to do with how life for you really is. You live in a dream world. You live in a fantasy world. This can happen very, very quickly if you are using too much of these type of methods. Music, self-affirmation, visualization, all of these things, if you do not test. If you test, you can use everything. Because from time to time, that test is just going to show you, and that's where you really are. And then you readjust. But if you have all of these methods which pump you up, but you never do the testing, then I would say be careful about that one. But whatever is allowed to make you accomplish your job, use it.
To finish off, I know we spoke about this, that it is 2023 is the year of the rabbit. And from my limited research on it, is that it is to bring, or there is some element of bringing good fortune, and it's supposed to be a prosperous year, 2023. But I wonder, sort of in your world, in the Shaolin world, how much of things like this are left to, or have external factors, like a year of good fortune. Does it genuinely bring good fortune, or is it something that we still need to find ourselves? It's still, and we need to interpret the message in a different way.
So I think there is something which lies in our hands, and there's something which sometimes is not dependent from whatever we are doing. But in the moment where your actions are in harmony with, let's say, some energies, some possibilities that at that point in time are anyway apparent there, something can happen. So that means, let's just assume next year out of whatever constellation. Let's take the star constellations. If the astrologers say, yes, apparently it is time to be able and have some luck and fortune next year, then this is the energetic potential that's out there. It's just there. Now, if it's out there, but the both of us are like just still sitting here and will just remain here, don't put any action into practice. Doesn't matter what type of potential it is going to exist that year, but not for us. Because we are not merging our action, our behavior in accordance to the potential. So what for me personally, all these horoscopes, all that astrology, all that forecast, what they give me is, they give me a view. If you would want something out of that potential, then it would be good now, this upcoming year. Adopt your personal plans in accordance that those possibilities would be able to come true. Because let's just say next year, somebody says, it's a good year to strengthen the bond of your family, to strengthen the bond within families. Yeah, but you are a businessman and your goal is, I'm going to make business next year. So that means you don't even see your family. Then nothing's going to happen. But if you read, it is a good year to increase the bond within families. You read that. You see that potential, and then you have the willingness to say, okay, I made business the last 5 years. My family maybe really came a little bit short. I'm going to change something about my approach for the next year. I'm going to make a little bit less of my stuff and therefore spend a little bit more with my family. Those two now together, the action that you put into place, merge together with the potential which is out there. This is what I think, why these forecasts, horoscopes are sometimes there. And therefore, yes, I believe in them, but only if you're also merging it together with your own action. Because just because the stars are saying something, but you are doing nothing, nothing changes.
Wow, thank you so much for this video again. I'm so pleased that we've managed to do this before the year ended. I know you've accommodated us this week, and I'm so happy to finish on this video as well, to be able to deliver this to people before the year starts and give them some kind of guidance. Yeah, thank you as always for having us in the temple. We really appreciate it, and we've absolutely loved creating content and working with you.
Thank you.
As you guys know, this past year, I've been training to do the world's heaviest marathon. Guys, I completed it. I did the world's heaviest marathon, and then I ran 450 miles over 10 days with the stone on my back. And to do that world record, to carry that 100 kilo stone for 27.8 miles, I was in a bad way, in a bad shape. But I remembered the higher purpose, and that was to raise money for other people who had lost their babies. So whilst the run is complete and the miles are done, the mission is not. I'm still trying to raise money for bereaved parents. The GoFundMe link is down below. If you want to help us help other people, I can't thank you enough. And if you can't do that, please just share the message and share the journey. We're trying to get as many eyeballs on it as possible. There is a documentary coming out, and there are still the Brass Monkey and Vortex giveaways down below as well, where the proceeds are going to charity. So there's loads of different ways you can get involved. I just urge you guys to, if you've been inspired by the journey, to get involved. Thank you so much.